Going on today, Internet, I got another beer review for you. Today we're going to be reviewing the Art of Dankness from Ritual Brewing out of Redlands. It was a 420 release, so I'm hoping this IPA is going to be really good. And today I'm going to be drinking it out of a Victory at Sea Make a Date with Darkness glass. That was a free thing for the Victory at Sea Day at Ballast Point. And you'll notice the scenery's changed. Today I'm at Torley's Tavern. My friend Torley has a full bar set up in his backyard, and it is awesome. Now granted, there's no taps up right now, but we could easily convert this into like a speakeasy, but we're not going to do that. So back to the beer. Got a bottle opener right over here. All right, let's see how this thing pours, shall we? So there is the beer right there. It's got a nice color to it. It's actually kind of a copper color. It smells malty. I mean, I haven't even put it up to my nose, but I can tell you right now, this beer smells very malty. Yeah, it's a malty beer with a lot of hop, but a sweet citrus and floral kind of aroma. The floral is really kind of off-putting. I have to be honest, it's a little bit underwhelming. It's bitter, don't get me wrong, but I was hoping for something that was going to be really in-your-face bitter for an IPA, especially being released on 420 and called the Art of Dankness. I kind of would have hoped for something to be a little bit more in your face. Now, when I'm doing my beer notes, I like to have several different categories. Overall, the very first one, we're going to do appearance. The appearance is a nice copper color. And then when you're taking your notes, make note of the head color. And the head color on this is a tan. It's not like an off-white, it's a fairly dark head. And that just kind of shows what kind of character malts they're using in this beer. The next thing that I always like to do is the aroma. Like I said earlier, the aroma, it's very sweet. And it's kind of an off-putting sweet for an IPA. You typically don't want something that's this in your face, fruity and sweet. It's not just like malt sweetness either. It's got like a sweet kind of smell and not like tangerine. And you can actually smell the water profile off of this beer, which is something I've noticed about a lot of Ritual beers in the past. The water profile, you can smell it in a consistency across the beers, and it tends to smell like they're probably ROing their water, building their water from scratch at the size that they are. They have a nice brew house, but you do get that kind of hard water gypsum kind of aroma. It has that kind of chalky smell. Very light, but it is perceivable. Something that's another thing to take away from it, the mouth feels disappointing. It feels a little bit undercarbonated. This beer, honestly, I had big expectations for it being a 420 release beer, and it's from someone who's relatively local to me. And I was really hoping that it was going to be, you know, something stellar. Now, this is a fresh bottle. This isn't the last year's bottle, so you can't say that it's anything I'm tasting is because it's an older beer. As far as the aroma and everything goes, the appearance is nice for a big double IPA. You know, a little bit dark on the head color, but I wouldn't fault it for that. The aroma is far too sweet and not a good kind of like malt-forward sweetness. It has that very distinct water profile that you can smell, that gypsum kind of chalk aroma, and then you also have the aroma of fruity and citrusy hops. So their hop choices here are kind of hop choices that I wouldn't make as a brewer because they don't necessarily play well together. If you're doing a beer that's called Art of Dankness, you want to go with Nelson or Galaxy or something that has a little bit of a bitter, pungent undertone, and then both of those hops, especially Nelson Sauvin. Nelson Sauvin is a big, dank, dirty thing, but it's what makes it such a good hop to use. The flavor, it's not a bad beer. So when I'm hoofing the beer, it's not a bad beer. It's just got a lot going on and not in a pleasant way. The initial sip is very honey forward and very malt forward, and specifically honey malt is the flavor profile I'm picking up big time, as well as a little bit of caramel malt. You get that kind of caramely note that comes through with the honey. And it's just, it's not bad, but it's not great either. The taste also, though, after the honey forward and caramel forward malt flavor subsides, you're left with a big pungent hop bite. And this beer is 101 IBUs. Now, disclaimer about IBUs for those of you who don't know, you can't taste anything over 100 IBUs. So putting it at 101, you're not going to perceive that one IBU. Shit, it could be 200 IBUs. You'd never know. You'd never taste it. The tongue can only perceive so much. As far as the mouthfeel, this beer is a little bit underwhelming. It feels a little bit undercarbonated and a little bit too sweet. Now the starting gravity on this beer, it's a 1087, so it had a lot of sugar, and for coming in at 9%, it should have been a little bit more farther down and lower attenuated. If I had to take a guess without doing any math off the top of my head, I'd say this beer is probably at like a 1010, 10 10, 12, somewhere around there, final gravity. Just a guess based on the amount of sugar and the alcohol content. If this beer fermented down to like a 1006, or yeah, 1006, a 1007, somewhere around there, that dryness would be discernible. You definitely have a better finished product. If I had to give this beer an overall score, this is the important part here, I would give this thing a 7.25 out of 10. It's not amazing, it's not world class, it's just a run-of-the-mill double IPA. And really, some of the big boys out there like Stone, Ballast Point, their double IPA everyday offerings are going to be better than this beer. That's not to say it's a bad beer. If you want something a little different, off the beaten road for an IPA that's not your standard kick you in the teeth and no dimension to the grain, this is something that you might enjoy. If you guys liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. As always, I appreciate your feedback and support. This is Chris, and I'll see you guys later.